Well, it's easy to turn our mind away from the many conflicts being fought on the other side of the world. But our soldiers are always preparing for the worst case scenario, a war on our doorstep.
Ready, start now.
We are trying to prepare ourselves for the worst possible contingency. That's what armies do when they prepare for war.
This is Shoalwater Island, enemy-held territory to Australia's north, or at least that's the Indo-Pacific arena 1,000 Australian soldiers find themselves in. We're actually in Shoalwater Bay, central Queensland. Exercise Diamond Run is the dress rehearsal for the real deal, but it's about as real as it gets.
Once you're into the vehicle and you identify your seat, you'll have a seat belt, all right? It's a H harness, you just put it over both sides, you strap it into the middle.
Soldiers from Brisbane's 7th Combat Brigade have been in the field for 7 days when we arrive.
All good in the back?
Yep, all good too. All good. This Bushmaster is the only way to get to their location. It's where we meet the elite sniper team, Liam, their supervising sergeant.
We're always trying to push ahead and see what's next as early as we can to get as much information as possible.
They're also thrilled to see the sun after days on foot through the mud in heavy rain. Tomorrow they'll carry out a dawn assault on an enemy stronghold, warfighting that will be as realistic as possible.
So when those mortars drop, it's just a small plume of smoke, obviously, but anybody within a 20-metre radius, they'll get an indicator on their vest that they've been hit.
Startling for the uninitiated, standard for Exercise Coordinator Colonel Ben McLennan, commander of the Army's Combat Training Centre.
Our responsibility is to provide training that is safe, but also as realistic, as immersive, as challenging, as tough as we can possibly make it.
How prepared is the Australian Army?
You know, there's a saying that armies exist for two reasons, to fight wars or to prepare to fight them. And we are rehearsing as if it's our last opportunity to do so. We are taking it extremely seriously.
The urban assault begins with an airstrike before Australian troops move in from the tree line. What's become very clear very quickly is the difficulty of 7th Brigade's mission. This enemy-held town offers a great deal of protection. The only way in is over exposed grassland, and if you can make it that far, high-caliber weaponry awaits.
This call sign conducted alternate entry, fighting through over.
Under the cover of coloured smoke, they breach the town perimeter, then the ground floor of a building. Penthouse positions proved a game changer, and the tide starts to turn. Slowly but surely, they are gaining the upper hand. They're going building to building, rooftop to rooftop, as you can see behind us here, clearing each structure in the town. Every movement is observed by coaches and adjudicators, some from France and the US. The exercise is also recorded and played back in an after-action review.
It's incredibly challenging, but it's the type of training environment we need to provide to enable, in a no-consequence way, our young men and women, our teams, our leaders, to prepare for war.
And the type of scenario is no coincidence. Australia currently faces the most complex strategic circumstances since the end of the Second World War. Specifically, China has challenged peace in the Indo-Pacific to Australia's north, and this is a fictional battle for an island north of Australia that has been overrun by a powerful enemy.
The potential for volatility and the potential for war is perhaps more real than it has been previously. And that has led to us focusing much more on preparing our people.
It's what the federal government's Defence Strategic Review called for, along with a greater army capability to operate far from our own shores.
It reflects the region that we live in, and it also reflects the fact that Army has been directed to become experts in being able to project offshore into the types of environments that we'll find in our region.
Gas, gas, gas! Gas, gas, gas!
Part of that preparation, the worst of the worst, a chemical weapons attack on a hospital. Army training dictates soldiers should be able to get masks on perfectly in 9 seconds.
Roger, Roger.
The consequences of a mistake in the real world are extreme.
So there's CS gas, there's sarin, there's a lot of other biological agents that might have different effects on the human body.
Keep in mind, 9 seconds is the benchmark to stay alive.
Gas, gas, gas! So that took you just around 25 seconds.
Dead.
Potentially.
And it's not just Australians taking part. Embedded in the group are soldiers from New Zealand, including Major Tamaror Warattai.
It's offered a few challenges. We've experienced trench foot from the high levels of rainfall, hypothermia and also heat injuries. But it's been good doing it alongside the Australian soldiers that we're working with.
The global threat and the training might be changing, but some things stay the same.
It doesn't really matter what flag's on the shoulder. They look to each other, they know they can trust each other, and that's what we rely on.
They were there with us at the beginning, at Gallipoli, and they remain alongside us and us alongside them to this day.